Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This reading is going to be for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus sign. This is your December monthly reading. I know these are late. I'm a little bit behind this month, but it is what it is, and they're coming out as they do. So let's get into it. Off the bat, I just want to offer that if you are connected with a Leo, if you have Leo in your chart, I would definitely go back and watch the Leo reading because there feels like there's a lot of overlap between you two. And that's usually something I'll say, like if I film them kind of like back to back and I pick up on that, but I filmed those readings like 2 days ago and it really stood out to me how much overlap there was between this reading and the Leo reading. So let's get into it. On that point, the very first card that you have coming out is the Sun, which is of course Leo energy. Okay, so again, you may be connecting with a Leo. I'm also getting a lot of energy sort of like nostalgia or sort of just like past kind of emotional or feelings or, you know, thoughts around sort of a past situation or past person. Keep in mind that it could even be like, I feel like for a lot of people collectively, not just the Virgo collective, but a lot of y'all may sort of be in this. Maybe there may be like past life kind of things that are really coming up right now, especially I'm feeling like during this, I'm not an astrologer, but during this eclipse reading. Okay, so which brings us well into your next card, which is the Judgment, right? Judgment is all about rebirth, renewal, right? And that necessarily requires that there was some sort of ending or, you know, a metaphorical death that preceded that sort of rebirthing kind of energy, that newness, deciding to like shed old layers or, you know, again, sort of old or past parts of ourselves, whether it's from this life or previous lives. With that Judgment energy there. You could also be, I'm picking up on something about like Sagittarian and Capricorn energy. Okay, so obviously we are in Sagittarius season. Sagittarius is like next in line for the readings, and oftentimes readings that are back to back there's a lot of overlap. And I think Leo was like the last reading I did. So again, Leo and Sagittarius coming in, or it could be, you know, sort of talking about temporarily like something that's happening or going to happen sort of during the Sagittarius season, if not like Capricorn season. So right, so the rest of the end of this year or going into sort of the early part of next year as well. Okay, it could be that, right, because we have a few different sort of characters on this card. So I do feel like for some of you, this could sort of be about, you know, friend or sort of like family kind of dynamics, or it could be about, you know, a partnership or some type of connection, right? It could, because again, for some of you, it's like what I'm feeling is that, you know, there's like a deeply sort of internal transformation that's happening, but it's either informed by like a community that sort of surrounds someone or, you know, sort of like either or actually, or and or is actually the better way. And or it's like the changes that you're sort of experiencing or implementing or that are happening. It's like that's affecting your home environment or your family environment or your work or your friendship environment. I hope that's making sense. It was like a little bit sort of hard to sort of unpack and unpeel there, but that's because I feel like a lot of it's like really sort of like happening beneath the surface. It's kind of like I'm feeling like there's like a peeling back of layers, and at the middle of that is like this light of this like bursting light of like joy and happiness, right? Which is reflected there in the Sun card. But I'm seeing this like building up throughout the story and diagonally till we get to the Four of Wands. So before we get there, the next card you have is the Four of Swords, right? And Four of Swords can speak to rest, relaxation, meditation, introspection, really connecting with oneself, perhaps even, you know, literally taking time off. It can also, again, sort of speak to, you know, that community of support who are sort of our quote unquote trusted advisors, the people that we can sort of go to for, you know, wise counsel and advice. So I'm just, again, sort of seeing that kind of energy, especially especially if there are sort of like choices or decisions that you're facing either right now or in the near term future. Again, I do see that you may be sort of employing the support of like your greater community to sort of help you, decide what it is that you want to do or something along those lines. Okay. The next card you have is the 10 of Swords reversed, right? So I want you to pay attention to the reversals that are coming up in this reading, because they often tell like a story sort of on their own, right? You have the 10 of Swords, you have the 8 of Cups, which is the next card we'll talk about. And those two cards in particular, if I'm not mistaken, came up in the Leo reading. So again, it seems to be sort of attached to, especially if any of you have Leo or attached to a Leo, it seems to be related to that, okay? So with this 10 of Swords reverse, it's like there's an old, right, an old cycle, perhaps a karmic cycle sort of development, or like a karmic lesson, something that's like being closed out here, or perhaps it already did end, right? For a lot of you, again, this could be about sort of what things that are happening sort of in the mind space, right? As I'm been still, like about a week ago, we had that full moon eclipse in Gemini, right? Which is one, Gemini is the card of lovers, right? So it represents soulmate relationships and connections in terms of its tarot interpretation. But Gemini as a sign is very mercurial, right? So it's all about the mind and our thoughts. And so I feel like there might sort of be a changing landscape there, like a shift that's happening in terms of your perspective, okay? And again, I'm really being very, very much so called to this sun energy, this fire energy, right? Of course, it doesn't have to be a Leo. It actually could be another fire energy, an Aries, or again, Sagittarius, okay? So you have the 8 of Cups next, okay, which 8 of Cups talks about emotional detachment. Again, letting go of old ways of being, letting go of old people, places, things, right? For some of you, this might be talking about like literal purging. There is like sort of a tangential storyline that I'm picking up here, which is that someone may sort of be struggling with addiction or depression or anxiety. Okay, again, whether you or someone that you're connected with, they may sort of be like working through this, like how to sort of, address their issues, for lack of a better term. But I am sort of picking up on that tangentially. Okay. I do feel like it could be transforming, like they're overcoming it, that they're healing from something. And if you notice at the bottom of the deck, you had the 9 of Swords reverse, right? And so the thing about these reversals that I'm seeing is that it's like this sort of situation, or, especially if someone was like sort of struggling with some sort of, disease of some sort, that it brought sort of a lot of worry and anxiety, and so again, I feel like in this depiction of the 9 of Wands, it sort of really shows like, sort of a foundation kind of crumbling. So in that way, it's like I'm almost kind of seeing like a tower moment, like that Scorpio energy, and that judgment, right, is coming in to sort of, again, like rebuild up a stronger sort of foundation. The next card that you have is the Hierophant, right? So for a lot of you, this could be talking about like a sort of spiritual transformation that you're going through, right? Having a period of spiritual awakening, elevation, really connecting with your higher self and source and your intuition, right? Again, I'm sort of getting this energy of, it could, maybe it's actually that there may be sort of like well-meaning, but sort of like meddlesome family or friends in a situation. And it's like, I feel like for some of you, it's like you're like, you are happy to like have the support and have the people in your life, but it's almost like you're kind of like, I didn't ask, like I didn't ask for your opinion or your input on this situation, right? Because I'm kind of just seeing this like kind of like tuning out and maintaining like a laser focus on, which is you Virgos are great at, right? Like a laser focus on what it is that you're trying to sort of figure out or like achieve in some way. And again, I feel like this sort of like growth and expansion energy that is sort of like surrounding you, almost like shrouding you, how like the figure on the Hierophant is like cloaked in their robes, right? For some of you too, I do also feel like you may be opening up to some spiritual gifts, okay? If that doesn't resonate, then what is it? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. The next card that you have is the 5 of Swords, right? So what I'm really sensing off of this card is just this sense of like needing to surrender to the changes that are happening, right? And not like fighting against it, right? I was like just recording a client reading where I was talking about like, I'm not an astrologer again, but one of the benefits that I have found from studying astrology is that if you understand sort of energetically what's going on, right? And you can sort of like, have that sense of grounding and introspection for yourself to figure out like, okay, based off of the universal energies, what does that mean for me? And you can sort of figure out how to work with it as opposed to fighting against it. It's a much more sort of empowering thing, like really being in the flow, of the universal energy. And that's what I'm getting off of this Five of Swords, right? And Five of Swords, like in a more sort of typical representation of it, which this is not, right? It usually shows like a few different figures kind of walking away from a battle. For me, it's a very sort of like pick and choose your battles kind of energy, right? Like what are you willing to sort of fight for versus, what are you sort of perhaps willing to like compromise or concede on, right? And especially in, relationships and romantic partnerships, and maybe that's sort of where this is coming up for you, right? With this Two of Cups, which can also sort of represent a soulmate connection. I feel like in any type of relationship really, but I think especially romantic ones, it's like compromise is required, right? It's like it can't be one person being like, it's my way or the highway. Well, then there might as well not be another person there, right? So the next card that you have is the Prince of Pentacles, okay? And I'm sort of seeing this connection between the Judgment card, again, that sort of rebirth kind of energy, and this Prince of Pentacles. And I feel like for some of you, this could be about kind of like holding back some type of, it doesn't have to necessarily be monetary, right? It could be an investment, maybe someone's like asking you for a loan or something like that. You could be holding back in that way, but it could also be just sort of like energetically, right? And sort of, kind of like reserving or holding that energy back for yourself, okay? I am also like vaguely getting like for some of you, like this could be about sort of taking a relationship maybe to the next level, and like maybe like, one person really isn't quite there yet or something along those lines, right? And so there's sort of like this, like, are we, aren't we, what is the next step kind of thing? Like, what are we going to do? And I think, if there's sort of like anxiety around that, right? Which if there is, it might suggest that someone's trying to like rush something or control a situation. I think probably the guidance or the advice is really just to kind of slow down, right? Because it's like, for some reason, I'm like seeing like a potential, like in the future, right? Of sort of like this, like coming, like, it's almost like it's about like, right place, right time kind of thing, right? And maybe it's not one of those things right yet, right? But that's by no means like implode the situation. And the final card, right? Because that, like, the final card talks about getting to that new level of stability, security, and perhaps, commitment and marriage for some of you here with this Four of Wands, right? Or again, something along those lines that represents that. For some of you, it could be like acquiring a home. For some of you, it could be, related to work. But that Four of Wands sort of comes in here at the end to let us know that there is forward movement. There is sort of, the pyramids there sort of represent the metaphorical promised land, right? So the goals and the aims that you've sort of strived to achieve will happen, but it all happens in divine order and timing, right? And so maybe in some part, this is also a message about patience. All right, Virgos, let's go into your numerology guidance. Look at that, number 16, rebirth coming up. So that's definitely a prominent message for you this month, okay? Time out is coming up, which again, like that Four of Swords, taking time out for yourself, possibly, even a vacation, or, just sort of like building in time for yourself into your day-to-day or like week-to-week, month-to-month routine, right? Quick reading for you, Virgos. Number 4 coming up. You have several 4s coming up in your reading. This 4 is talking about perseverance and persistence, right? So I feel like that's a message for y'all as well. Financial discipline. Look at that. So that definitely could be talking about that Prince of Pentacles, making sure that you are not, sort of like spending willy-nilly, or again, not sort of like overextending yourself, even just in terms of an energetic fashion. So let's read for this card, and then I'm going to close out the reading for you, Virgos. This card indicates a need for financial discipline if you wish to build a strong foundation for your future. You are constantly surrounded by opportunities to attract abundance. However, you must follow up with action if you wish to see results. Setting the intention to be financially secure and then taking appropriate steps, such as putting a little money aside each week, is enough to shift your vibration toward the outcome you desire. Perhaps you've been spending money on unnecessary things rather than saving for your dream. Maybe a play now, pay later mentality has left you living on credit or in debt. Perhaps it seems that money goes out faster than it comes in. Whatever the case may be, you are being encouraged to adopt an attitude of abundance, seek financial advice, budget, and attend a workshop or read a book about creating wealth. The affirmation here says, the universe is abundant and I am financially stable and secure. So Virgos, again, that's been your December monthly reading. For the mid-months, I'll be doing year ahead card spread. So if you're interested in viewing the one from this year, go back to the playlist. It is there for the year ahead for 2020 for Virgos. It is also a personal style of reading that I offer, as is this 9-card grid, and there are many others, all of which are featured on my website. So if you'd like to book a personal reading, definitely head on over there. As always, if the video resonates, please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you'd like to donate to support this work, there are ways to do that listed down below as well. So yeah, Virgos, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this reading helps and resonates. Again, check out the Leo one if it did, and if you have Leo or you are dealing with a Leo. Thanks again so much, Virgos, and I will see you in your next reading. Take care. Bye.